Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score, and you're killing it.
I know it's coming to you a little late, as do basically all my videos nowadays. I'm sorry, I'm a busy person. I am going to be doing my July wrap-up today. I'm drinking out of my new birthday mug that I got from my beautiful friend Emily. Now that I have turned 22, I guess I finally qualify as a grown-ass woman, so there you go. What books did I read in July? That's the question. July. The first book that I read in July was an audiobook, and that is Marlena by Julie Buntin. And I liked this. I didn't love it. It had this weird like thrillery thing going on, but it sort of reminded me of The Girls by Emma Cline, like just a little tiny bit, but then it never delivered. Like it was missing the thriller part. It was just like supposed to be sad. Like I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it. I give it 3 stars. But it's a good listen. I have a hard time like really loving audiobooks, which is why when I'm really excited about a book, I like to read it physically rather than listen to the audiobook. So then after that first audiobook, I didn't read anything until I did the biannual Bibliothon. And the first book that I read for that was The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw, and I shockingly loved this book. I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed this, like truly shocked. This is about a girl who's going into her senior year of high school at this school in the town called Sparrow, Oregon, and she lives on an island with her mom, like just off of the mainland, and she runs a lighthouse, and there's this curse that haunts the town where there were 3 women who were drowned as witches back in the 1800s, and now apparently they haunt the town. The story is just basically the unfolding of that, and I only read this because it was the group book for the biannual Bibliothon, and I loved it. Like this is your perfect like YA spoopy Halloween read, you know? Like it's just really fun. It's a really good time, basically. Nothing too scary, but like fun scary. I really, really liked this. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then I read Going After Cassiato by Tim O'Brien, which I love Tim O'Brien. He's one of my favorite authors. The Things They Carried by him is maybe my all-time favorite book. But I gave this book 5 stars. So basically it's about this guy Cassiato who deserts, essentially, and his platoon goes and like tries to find him. Cassiato said he's going to walk all the way to Paris, and they're in the Vietnam War. They're in Vietnam fighting. And he's like, I'm gonna walk all the way to Paris, and they're like, sure you are. And then they follow him to Paris. Or do they? That's the question. You have to read it to find out. It's pretty cool. Then I read When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanya Menon, and well, I wasn't the biggest fan of this book. I had a lot of problems with this, specifically with Dimple. I just couldn't stand her as a character. Rishi was literally the sweetest, and I was like, why are you being so mean to this boy? Dimple was just so selfish, I couldn't get past it. Couldn't stand her. So I ended up giving this 3 stars. I also thought that a lot of the writing was pretty bad. It was just really predictable. It felt like a teenage girl's like daydream. I don't know, not a fan. Then I read The Outsider by Stephen King, which I really, really liked. Although Stephen King struggles with endings, in my opinion, his endings just always fall a little bit flat. And the reason is, I think, is that like the rest of the book is so incredibly complicated and amazing that there's no way to make the ending like even better. You know what I mean? Like the book is already at a 10, so like the ending can't be at an 11, so it falls flat. Does that make sense? So I don't know, something about this did fall a little bit flat. I still gave it 5 stars, but I think it's more of like a 4.5 really, but like since it's Stephen King, for me it's a 5. You feel? The monster in this definitely reminds me a little bit of It from It. It's very spooky, really creepy, scared me. Like, good book, very good book. It'll hook you from page 1. just so we're aware. The next book that I read in July is The Great Funk, Falling Apart and Coming Together on a Shag Rug in the 70s by Thomas Hine. And I read this because I'm dramaturging Fun Home, and a lot of like her childhood is centered in the 70s, so I needed to get a good sense of like what the 70s was like. So this was really interesting, and actually the music director for that show, wonderful Jay, if you happen to be watching this video, then like, wow, thanks for being here. Hi, thanks for lending me this book. This was really good. I sometimes have a hard time with nonfiction, if I'm being honest. I have a hard time getting into it. I do, it's true. But I really liked this. I read this in like 3 days, which was fast. So yeah, really enjoyed this. So if you're like a nerd for the 70s, great book to check out. I gave it 4 stars. Then I listened to part of The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan on audiobook, and I could not get into it. I feel bad because I feel like this might be a book that I would really get into if I were actually reading it, but on audiobook, just couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. So maybe I'll try to pick it up a physical copy sometime in the future, but not now. Only 2 more books that I read in July, and these 2 were part of the Booktubeathon. So the first one I finished is The Gigantic Beard That Was Evil by Stephen Collins, and this is a graphic novel, a beautiful graphic novel, if I do say so myself. I just like am really into the art in this, which for me is so important with graphic novels. Like if I don't like the art, I'm not gonna like the book. The art is beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's basically about a man who lives in a place called Here, and everyone in Here is really afraid of a place called There. One day, this man in Here grows a giant beard, and basically that's the story. I did think that it was a little bit like anticlimactic. I was expecting something a little bit more from it, which is why it doesn't get a 5 star, but I did give it a 4.5 star because I think this might be my favorite graphic novel, maybe like behind Fun Home. The Complete Persepolis is really good too, but like this is up there. This is really, really good. If you've seen this and you're interested in checking it out, I highly recommend you do. It's great. You can read it in like an hour and a half. Then the last book that I read in July is Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. And this book, I had some mixed feelings about this book as well. I really liked the characters, especially this main character who's like so, like, she's basically like a female superhero, which is pretty cool. And I really, really liked her love interest, Kai. Like, I don't usually ship couples, but like, I was shipping this couple. However, my big gripe with this book is the plot. It's just like, it seems like it should be a very plot-driven novel because it's super action-based, and it's like, it's literally Trail of Lightning. So it's like they're on a trail, like on a quest, you know? Like, doesn't that kind of imply that? But they're all over the place. Like, they go on like these little missions kind of, and I was like, I have no idea what you are trying to accomplish. Like, this character does not have a life goal. She just sort of got like pulled out of her trailer that she's been like hiding in. Like, it's very strange. Like, I didn't understand. There was no drive for me to keep reading. Like, I was like, the story could stop right here and there's no unfinished business. You know what I mean? Like, it was just weird. Weird. The ending of this, however, great cliffhanger. This is the first book in a series, so the cliffhanger at the end of this, I was like, come on, and it made me want to read the second one, which I don't think I will actually do because there's so many other books that I need to read, but great cliffhanger. I commend you for that. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. Oh, I just threw my phone. FYI, this is a new book. It came out on June 26th, so this is fairly new. So if this is something that you're excited to get your hands on, it is already out, so go ahead and do it. It's not a bad book. It just wasn't quite what I was looking for. And those are all the books that I read in July. I would say this is a pretty successful stack. Proud of myself. Plus an audiobook, so I mean, I done good. If you want to see more of my videos in the future, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post new videos. If you're already subscribed, don't forget to like and comment down below. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye! Mwah.
Now I was headed to the bus stop.